Predator, Together Strong. Say it with me one time, if you will. My name is Jason. I am the last manager of the last video store in the universe. And when I'm not busy managing a video store, I go to the local multiplex to watch movies, so you don't have to tell you whether or not you should. I did go to the multiplex, and I saw a movie from Dan Trachtenberg called Predator Badlands. This is the follow-up to Killer of Killers, which was the adult streaming animated anthology film, sort of. Is that technically an omnibus? And the Prey, which came out in, I want to say 2022, which was straight to Hulu. It was pandemic times. It didn't have much faith in the project. Probably should have been released in theaters, although I don't think the budget was quite there from an effects perspective. I don't think the budget is quite there from an effects perspective for every piece of the ambition of this particular film either. That being said, Predator Badlands. I actually took somebody who has never seen a single Predator movie to this one, mostly because I thought that they're into weapons and survival and like old timey kind of survival, knives and bow and arrow, and they are an archer, legitimately. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take this person who does archery to go see this movie. Now the bow doesn't exactly factor in, and just see what they think about it. They loved it. I mean, the credits were rolling. I said, we couldn't even say, what'd you think? And they were just like, I love that. Now, I think that is a perfect encapsulation of how you will feel about this movie, potentially. If you have no association in your mind about what a Predator movie should be. I would say if you take Predators, the one with all like the deadly killers or whatever who are basically put into hunting grounds and in sort of a captive hunting situation and then hunted by Yusha? Is that what they're called? They say it 50 million times in Badlands. The Predators. And then there's like a bigger group of predators and all that. Like, as dark and weird as that movie is, it takes itself very serious. Is that Robert Rodriguez? Did he do that one? At least directed it. If you really like that movie and you want every Predator movie to be of that ilk, or the more horrific parts of the Predator from the first movie, then you may not like this movie. In fact, I could see you saying like, okay, it wasn't a bad movie, but it didn't feel like a Predator movie. It felt very cartoony. It feels very much like somebody. I don't know how old Dan Trachtenberg is. If I had to guess, he's probably close to my age. I would say he's probably a kid who grew up in the 90s. That's just my guess. Maybe 80s. Maybe he's a little bit older. I don't know. I'll look it up after I record this. But my guess would be that he grew up in the 90s, because this movie feels like the 90s kid sensibilities. It feels like a Biker Mice from Mars or not Street Sharks or something like that, but it feels like that sort of, it's got grit to it. It's got teeth to it to an extent, but it's really, really cartoony. It's very broad. It's very, it kind of reminded me of a Star Wars TV show. And if that, I'm immediately like, oh, fuck no. But I mean, like, here's what I would say. If they released a standalone motion picture that was just about a bounty hunter, not the Mandalorian, not Mando, but just some bounty hunter who lands on a planet and gets swept up to an adventure, which I guess is effectively Mandalorian season one. And you remember, like, it was feature length. You remember how fun those episodes were and what the feeling of that was, and you got to see more of different worlds and more of different parts of the galaxy and culture, and it was just fun and kind of funny, and it was a fun adventure sort of story. That's what this is. I think it really captures an adventure sensibility of it. I liked it. I am of the personal opinion that a alien mystery creature in the woods picking off the most muscular badass, at least by 80s standards, 80s movie standards. God, you can only do that so many times. They proved it when they did Predator 2, which is not a successful movie at all. I loved that one as a kid. I revisited for the show a number of years ago and thought it was awful. You can't do it again. I thought the smartest way, if you're going to try to do it, is do it the way that I think it was Rodriguez did it, which is Predators, which is like pretty good. It's not great. It's not as good as the first one. And of the original rankings, I don't include AVP because those movies are terrible. Although this one is not that far off from the first AVP, to be honest with you. It's like what if that movie didn't suck? That's kind of what this movie is like. I guess what I'm trying to get at. This is an instant reaction. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is it is tonally not necessarily what fans of this series may want from their Predator movie. But for what it is doing, it does it at an above reasonable level. Like, if you've seen movies, there's literally nothing unfamiliar that is going to happen once you understand the parameters of this movie. You understand where the movie, once you get into the first 10 minutes, you know exactly how this fucking movie is going to play out. I would venture to guess. That being said, what it does, which is effectively a 90s kid sitting down in his room and taking some stuff that does feature from the Alien franchise. I guess that's light spoilers there, but not really. And, you know, because you have a synthetic person played by Elle Fanning who's pretty. It took me a while to lock in on her performance because I'm like, she doesn't present to us as a way any synthetic in the history of the Alien franchise ever has, but then there's a sort of a offhanded reason for that. And then, so Elle Fanning is in the film, and she's really good. And then we've got the Predator, and then we've got all these constituent parts. And once you pull in like a synthetic from Alien and some other little odds and ends and a bunch of stuff from the Predator movies, the whole fucking history of the Predator movies, and a completely original kind of world and story, it feels like a kid playing with action figures. Like they reached into their play chest and put out their favorite toys and made a movie out of it. Your mileage is going to vary with that. I think Trachtenberg does an extremely good job at also doing something very different from Prey. There are echoes of Prey in this movie, and it's really interesting conceptually because, like, the way that I would sit and think about the movie is, okay, if I'm going to centralize a predator as the main character, effectively the protagonist of the movie, and not as the antagonist, as they often are, and I just made this movie Prey, which is like a sleeper hit and is kind of universally well regarded. I was sort of like, what if I told the same story, but like from the Predator's perspective, and like he's an underestimated predator who his clan, he wants to be one thing, his clan wants him to be something else. Like you could do a parallel story, which is basically just doing the same movie over again. That is kind of your first instinct to go to that. I think he did something more interesting, which is he took parts of that and then took it in a completely different direction. And again, I think the direction of the film is probably the right direction. I think it's fun. I think it plays really well on a big screen. My theater, which was pretty packed for an early screening, really laughed. They really enjoyed the movie. People applauded during certain scenes. There's not a ton of like member berries. Oh, look at that. Or oh, remember this. There's stuff. It's in there. If you know it, you know it. If you don't, you don't. That's fine. Um, the movie just works as a really fun, funny action movie. If you're like, I want gore and viscera and a guy ripping spines, I don't want a PG-13 Saturday morning cartoon version of The Predator. I don't want somebody playing with their action figures as a 90s kid. I can't I can't argue with you. You won't necessarily like this. It wasn't the tone that I was expecting, but the content I felt delivered. And once I adjusted to the tone, I was fine with the movie. Is it the best in the series? No, it's probably like the third best. Honestly, I mean, it's like you got the first Predator, you've got Prey. I need to revisit Prey. It might be better than the first Predator. I don't know. I almost have to watch it back to back. Um, then I'd probably put this one, and then I'd put Predators, and the rest don't count. That's how it works. Yeah, I like the movie. If I had to give it a score out of the good old letterbox scale, I think I'd sit this one at like 3.5. It's not quite a 4. I would, and mostly because it's pretty predictable. It's pretty. I think what it is I think it's the best attempt to try to make a wide release, effectively a 4 quadrant smash hit out of a Predator movie. Instead of saying, hey, this is a movie that is specifically for an R-rated audience, they're going, of adult dudes and weirdo fans, right? Like, we're not just going to make it for its target demo. We're trying to make a movie that a lot of people could hear a good word of mouth about. Like, it's pretty fun, it's pretty funny, it's got some semi-touching moments to it. I know this all sounds bizarre for a Predator movie. Let's go see it. It doesn't, I would say this, it's not like a soft reboot or we're going to pretend like the other stuff doesn't happen. It's very interesting. The guy who made Prey is also capable of making this. I'm interested to see what he does next. I'm interested to see if you saw Killer of Killers, and I'd have to think about it again, about different connections and all that sort of stuff. Because I think there are a few. I just can't keep track of them all in my head. But yeah, I really like this. I give it 3.5 stars. I think you should go see it in theaters. It has a bit of a streamy feel to it. I think that has to do with it's a more of a mid-budget film, if I had to guess, at least based on the special effects. There is a practical suit for the Predator, but his face is heavily augmented by CGI. I think it's probably just easier to do the face with CGI. And it looks kind of ropey sometimes, and a lot of the creatures don't look as well as they should. There's some choices in the third act that I would just change. They're not catastrophic. It's just more so personal preference. Other than that, I really enjoyed it. It's just really fun, man. So if you need a good, fun, escapist movie that go see it with the biggest audience you can, and it's going to laugh and go for the ride. It's it's not quite as wacky as, say, like Guardians of the Galaxy, but you're heading in more of that direction. If you take Prey, which is a pretty serious, heartfelt, almost a drama that has a survivor action movie aspect to it, or if you take the first Predator, which is also inherently goofy. Like, if we're just going to be honest about, like, the Predator itself isn't goofy, but everything else about that movie is pretty fucking goofy. That's what kind of makes it awesome. This is just it's more on the goof spectrum towards Guardians than the first Predator, although it's still in the same zip code, and it's more than Prey, right? Like, if Prey is very serious, if you have like, God, the real grim. Oh, but let me stop stammering and get to the bottom line. The Predator, the Shane Black, awful abomination of a movie about autism as a superpower. That's some goofy ass horse shit, right? But it's not fun goofy like the first Predator that still works as a movie. It is stupid goofy. It's dumb, dated, bad humor and stupid fucking characters and stupid fucking ideas. This is goofy, but not stupid. It's goofy fun, not stupid fun. And it's a good time at the movies. There's my pull quote. Put on the poster. 20th Century Fox. 20th Century Studios. My bad. Please, please. I need the check. Please send it to me. Till next time, binge on.